What are the LA Lakers doing for a coach right now? Because I don't know the answer to this question. And the question that I have is, if JJ Redick was your guy, why haven't you made him an offer? He's interviewed twice. You've had, by some accounts, at least half a dozen conversations with him. Wouldn't you know by now? You would know by now.
Mm-hmm.
Why haven't you made him the offer? Oh, because he's not the guy and there's not a better candidate. And everybody yesterday had the same reaction. Oh, well, you're going to hire Monty Williams. I don't think you are. Homie's getting $65 million. You understand in the last 24 months, he's been paid $85 million not to coach. Let that sink in. He's getting $85 million from the Suns and now the Pistons.
So,
not to be a basketball coach.
The Monty Williams issue to me.
Marty?
Hey, Marty. The Monty Williams issue, for the Lakers anyway, to me isn't even necessarily the money with the Pistons and the Suns and this little run that good old Monty Williams has been on.
Monty.
It's more about his personal life and the distractions that have come and gone during his tenure with the Pistons. And I think that Monty Williams needs an opportunity to go to a place where they're not the worst team in the league, but they're also not the best team in the league. He needs a mid-level team that clearly needs a new voice to carry them into a better place. And I don't know where that's going to be yet. And I don't think that I'm not convinced that he'd even be a great fit with LeBron. I understand why it worked with Book. You get it. Book's younger. He's still refining that game. Hasn't won a championship yet. Like, there are things for Book to do in the league. But for guys like LeBron James and Anthony Davis, they don't need to be told how to play basketball, dude. They don't need to be told what the best way to execute the play is. What they need is someone to keep them on track. And this is the thing I think people don't understand about the Laker job and why JJ Redick is is a huge risk. JJ Redick's never coached a game in his life. Never coached an NBA game. Now, his podcast tells you he understands the game at a really elite level, right? Can break down a play, best of the best with scouting, X's and O's, how to beat a team. Okay, cool. Great. But I don't necessarily believe for the Lakers that makes you a great fit. And that's why I don't think they've hired him yet, because you got to be able to manage personalities. And his relationship with Bron, while it is good, when you're that close to the player and you're not even their coach yet, now when you come in as their coach, that could be a problem. So I just think that the Lakers have to decide which part of, man, this sucks, they want to deal with. Do you want to deal with someone who has no experience and probably works with Bron a little bit because they're friends? Or do you want to go out and get a James Borrego level guy who is a head coach who'd be newer, obviously the organization, and probably isn't going to win. I'm sorry,
I thought you said the Lakers should hire James Borrego.
I didn't say they should hire him. I said that he's one of the options of, hey, this sucks and this situation blows. Hey, and what part of it do we want?
Hey, Jimmy Borrego, go ahead and coach the Cavs. Go be irrelevant. You're not good enough to coach the Lakers. This is the problem.
But if he's not good enough, neither is Redick. And I don't know where you go from there.
The guy's name is Budenholzer.
Yeah, but he's not an option.
Oh, wait. You let him go to Phoenix.
So now there's no options.
I don't think JJ Redick's the risk that people make him out to be. I actually think he will probably do a good job. I think he's young. I think he's really smart. There are going to be growing pains. But I don't think that James Borrego you're asking to get kicked in the nuts. Like, you can't hire James Borrego.
Yeah.
JJ Redick at least has a cool haircut. James Borrego's kind of a dick.
Yeah.
And he's that guy where you're like, yeah, that's not the head coach of the Lakers.
Yeah.
That's not trend setting. That's not. And I don't care where you look now. You didn't get Dan Hurley. And it's going to be tough not to score at that level because there isn't an NBA guy. Kenny Atkinson doesn't do.
Yeah.
James Borrego doesn't do. JJ Redick at least is hip and you understand it. But that's the extent of it. You have no idea if JJ Redick can guide you to a championship. I not right now. Who are you going to hire to be on his staff? Like, that's the biggest question I have. Because you don't need JJ Redick doesn't need to be anything other than a facilitator. Right? Are you hiring JJ Redick because you love his offensive scheme? You're probably not. Are you hiring JJ Redick because you're loving his teaching ability? You're probably not. When you hire Chris Brickley, if that was the case?
No, I think you're hiring JJ Redick for his ability to stand on the sideline, observe the game, and tell these guys, hey, this is what we're recognizing. This is where you need to go and attack. Right. And I think people get this confused a little bit. And this was the Darvin Ham issue. Darvin Ham couldn't stand there, watch the game, and say, yeah, you know what? We got to find a way to switch on to this guy, because then if Braun can get by here, we can go there and swing it. Like, Darvin Ham wasn't good at that. Darvin Ham tried to manage personalities and keep guys positive and be more of a, a cheerleader of sorts, right? A guy that, would motivate you and pump you up. But I think that JJ Redick offers a different solution, which is, hey, I'm not here, to make you feel good. I'm just going to tell you, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what we need to do. Let's go out and do it.
Yeah, I don't know how you fix this problem for the Lakers because honestly, I know why you had to fire Darvin Ham.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have hired Darvin Ham in the first place. And for everything the Lakers do to be as competitive as they are, I just don't understand why you've never been able to replace Phil Jackson.
Well, I think that you've been on a long, decade-long cold streak of coaches, and your timing with the commitment to these coaches is not good either. I think that you have to put yourself in a place where the next time a marquee guy comes available, you can go out and get him. That's what you have to do. And I look at it and I say, okay, if we throw away all the piss poor coaching hires this squad's had since Phil Jackson, and we just look at it starting with Frank Vogel, like Vogel, obviously bubble championship, cool. Okay, you got rid of him. You picked up Darvin Ham. That was a mistake. We all agree on it. Cool. The problem is that you've now struck out. You didn't get Budenholzer. You didn't get Dan Hurley. And now you're going to strike out on whoever you hire.
I'm telling you, Sam Cassell is still the guy.
Well,
I think he's the best available guy. And if you want to hire JJ Redick to be like his lead assistant, maybe, or I don't know. But I would hire Sam Cassell, or at least interview the guy. I mean, if you're interviewing JJ Redick, why are you not interviewing Sam Cassell?
Yeah.
I mean, Sam Cassell is going to be a head coach. And I said this last week about Sam. That's the guy. You should interview him. And I don't know that you will, and he probably won't. But don't make the mistake the Pistons made. The Pistons hired Monty Williams and guaranteed him $85 million and fired him after 1 year and owe him 65.
Oh,
that's crazy. Crazy. It's crazy to me. The Lakers need an established coach. The taking a high-level assistant hasn't worked. Why retread Darvin Ham type guys? There's not an established guy.
Well, I think when you talk about retreading Darvin Ham type guys, I wouldn't call JJ Redick a Darvin Ham type guy. I think JJ Redick is high risk, but potentially very high reward. And, the high risk part is obviously he's never coached. You don't know what he is as a coach. I don't think JJ Redick knows what he is as a coach. I think JJ Redick would be as committed as anybody is. I think JJ Redick would be the first modern day player in the last, 10, 12 years who's transitioned into coaching and successfully got a job, right? All those guys are now assistant guys or whatever. JJ Redick, though, has proven his knowledge. He's shown through his podcast that he understands the game. And LeBron is, again, if it's going to be JJ, it's on LeBron. There's no getting around that. If you're going to hire JJ Redick, the media narrative is, hey, you were appeasing LeBron, and that just is what it is.
Yeah. See, and Delaric, I disagree. I think we put way too much hype into LeBron running things. I just ask again, if LeBron in his prime was on your roster, you wouldn't consult him about who the coach was. You wouldn't consult him about player moves. Well, you would be stupid not to.
Right.
So for everybody who does the, Le GM stuff, do you think the Bulls didn't consult Michael Jordan? Do you think Minnesota wouldn't consult Ant? Do you think Steph Curry has no say in Golden State? Yet we pick on LeBron James because he supposedly has influence and to say. Why shouldn't he? That's the question that I think a lot of guys can't ask or answer.
Right.
Why shouldn't he? He should. Because replacing a top 3 all-time coach isn't something you just do. But again, it's a decade later.
Yeah, I mean, you've missed egregiously time and time again.
It's not that you replace him right out of the gate. You've never replaced Phil Jackson. You're the Lakers. The bar has to be higher. You can't find a Michael Malone. You can't. You're going with Borrego instead of Budenholzer, and the Suns beat you again? Come on. I agree you don't just go out and replace a guy like Phil. But at some point, you have to find somebody to replace Phil.
Especially considering that, relatively speaking, you're not going to do some roster overhaul. They have some draft options and, a couple of moves they can make, but you're not going to go and, massively change your roster,
No.
right? You're not going to find the success that way. You're going to add to it and deepen it, but you're not going to have some roster rollover. So the guy you hire is crucial here because of that. If you were a team that had massive flexibility, if you were the Jazz hiring a head coach, it becomes less important per se how they coach because you can mold the team to them, right? That's why the Will Hardy thing is such a discussion with the Jazz. That's why the Suns had so much pressure to go out and find a great head coach and why it was such a clutch pickup to get Budenholzer because Budenholzer can coach that team. He's capable. He's shown that. So that's why I'm saying for the Lakers, don't get this confused. This isn't necessarily about LeBron per se, but the media is always going to lean on that narrative. So if you hire JJ, you need to understand that LeBron's going to deal with that, and LeBron needs to be okay with that. LeBron needs to be okay with the fact that, hey, there's not another great head coach out there. JJ right now is probably the leading candidate. And, what do you think of that? That conversation has to happen with where LeBron's at in his career.
And I think this goes back to the Dallas Cowboys because that's what the Lakers are right now.
Yeah.
Now, you have a recent championship and an appearance in the Western Conference Finals. Different. But you have an owner who spends money aggressively but cannot win. Jeannie Buss, I think, has been a mediocre owner. She has too many chefs in the stew,
right.
But she wants to win and does everything she can do to win. And if you don't win, it's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish the Chicago Bulls had that mentality. I do. I wish the Bulls had that mentality because if we did, we'd win more than we have.
Totally agree.
I 100% in agreement with Monty. Sam Cassell can help the Lakers get to the finals. Gary, if JJ can develop young guys and can adapt to the modern game, then he should be good, but he needs to be given time. You don't have time with the Lakers. The expectation is you win now. And that's taking the job. That has to be a long-term thing. We can't keep hiring and firing guys every 3 years. But if you can't win, if you cannot win in a year or two with the Lakers, you're not the right guy. You're not the right guy. I even would argue that they pulled the trigger too soon on Frank Vogel, but he lost the locker room to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So at least I understood that, but
that's why I'm saying the JJ Redick thing. I do believe JJ Redick should be a head coach in the league, just not for the Lakers. He should be a head. The Pistons job for JJ Redick is perfect.
It's all about space and time.
Yeah, you're a terrible team, but you've got a lot of talent on the roster, a lot of young talent that JJ can go in and prove himself with. That's the kind of job you need starting out in the league. And again, the only reason that JJ's even in this conversation is because of his relationship with LeBron. That's it. So That's what I say, man. This brings me back to my original point. This isn't, hey, who's the best guy for the job? That's not the conversation we're
No.
having. We're having who's the least crappiest guy for the job. That's what we're talking about because the coaching pool is non-existent. There isn't really a pool available right now. So we went through what was it? I think 2 or 3 seasons ago where there were a load of head coaches available, and you chose Darvin Ham. That's why you're doing this now. You're paying the price for that poor ass decision several years ago. So again, and I'm not the guy who's like, oh, well, Doc Rivers is going to get the job done in a new organization. Doc Rivers, you know who Doc Rivers is. You know who the classic guys are. You know what their reputation is. He's going to get you the playoff, and you're going to lose. You don't need that guy.
I'd have hired Jeff Van Gundy before Darvin Ham.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed completely. At least at that point, you've got experience.
I don't know what you do. I honestly, I don't know what you do.
What you do is you sign JJ Redick to a 3-year deal with 2 years guaranteed. That's what you do. And the 3rd year is either an option year or whatever. That's what you do. And then at that point, you're going to stay on the hunt. Like, I don't know what else, like literally, what else do they do?
You hire Magic Johnson again?
Right? Like,
can Kurt Rambis? Oh, wait, he already does coach the team. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens. I just don't know where you go from here, but it can't be the Luke Waltons of the world. It can't be, Byron Scott. Mike D'Antoni did not work. Like, I just think you have to find the guy, and you have to figure out how to make it work. Lakers look to be on the right track while Magic was there. Don't ever say that out loud again.